What's up, everybody? Well, today I'm here to bring to you another vacuum that is in my vacuum collection. And this time, it is of a vacuum that I honestly never thought I would get. What I have for your viewing pleasure today is a Bissell Powerforce Bagged upright. This, admittedly, was a vacuum that I have been looking around for about a while now. And I nearly almost gave up the search until I stumbled across this one. I mean, it's no secret that Bissell's were meant to be value brand vacuums that were sold for very cheap, especially this model. This was sold brand new at Walmart, I think, for about $40 to $50. So it's not expensive. But I have been looking around for this model specifically, particularly because this is back when Bissell actually cared about even their budget, like value vacuums. I mean, this one, as you can see, has a headlight on the front. It has a bag check indicator as well as a 12 amp motor. From years down the road, surprisingly, they kept production of this same style of Bissell Powerforce Bagged for so long before they finally upgraded. I think it was back in the mid-2010s. And this, as the years went on for this vacuum, they got cheaper by dropping features like the headlight and the bag check indicator. And then the 12 amp motor was later dropped in favor of a cheaper 10 amp version. But it was still the same vacuum, but arguably wasn't the best as its predecessor. So I have very fond childhood memories of this vacuum. Yes, I do admit it wasn't the most fantastic thing on the market, but it was a good bang for your buck, so to speak, if you didn't have enough money to afford any higher expensive vacuums. Bissell definitely had quite a bunch of other vacuums, but usually a lot of their more expensive vacuums were bagless. And I have owned a couple of them over the years, and ever since then, I have always wanted a bagged version. And it seems that Bissell seems to love bagless more than they do bagged. I do not like bagless. That's just a whole nother debacle that I do not want to get into, but I've always preferred bagged over bagless. So I was also on search for this one, not just for the fact that it was bagged, but also my family used to own this very model of Powerforce when I was little. They owned this basically as a replacement to a very beaten up Dirt Devil Featherlite that I would like to believe broke a fan because that thing screamed incredibly loud. I know the Featherlights were always very loud vacuums, especially the direct air ones, and this one was in fact direct air, but it wasn't supposed to be that loud. Knowing what I know about vacuums now, I probably would have attempted to fix the thing and then just have the Powerforce Bagged that they would buy later to be as the daily driver vacuum, while the Dirt Devil would be the backup. Because it definitely performed better than this one. But other than that, let's go ahead and give a walkthrough of the machine. I bought it cheap for 20 bucks at a thrift store, and there's nothing really much else to say about it other than let's start the walk around. So this is one of the literal value Bissell. It's not very expensive, and it has features like this cheap plastic fixed hose, which honestly I want to look out for a replacement. I think the later flexible hose from a 71Y7 model may fit this. I neither confirm or deny that because they are literally the same chassis. But if anyone knows that a 71Y7 hose fits this, please chime in. I would definitely love to find one because this is just very aggravating to use most of the time. What I really like about this is that it still has its promotional tag on the front of the handle. Something I honestly didn't expect. I don't even remember my childhood Powerforce Bagged coming with this. So anyway, as per Bissell fashion, you do have your power cord weirdly mounted on the side of the machine. Always an interesting way they did it like this. At least it gives the machine a much lower profile to vacuum underneath furniture. So let's go ahead and show you the bag. This normally would take Bissell style 7 bags, but I have currently stuck in a Hoover type Y HEPA bag. You can get the Bissell style 7 bags in HEPA, which I haven't yet, but for now I just stuck a Hoover Y bag. It fits right in place and it works just fine. Right here is your pre-motor filter. That it's originally, I think it's supposed to have a little plastic cage on the front that holds the filter down, but that unfortunately went missing over the years, so it just has the filter just laying right here, just without it. It doesn't seem to do much, if I'm all honest. But let's go ahead and put this guy back on. Sometimes it's not too easy to line this up at times. You have your headlight right down here. You also do have 5-position carpet height adjustments. I always like to leave it at the second from lowest setting for the pile of this carpet. It uses Bissell style 7 bags and belts, which is very bonkers to me that they would have the same part number. And you have here, obviously, 5 height adjustments, as it says right there. You can barely make out the notches on the top of the hood. 12 amps on the motor. And you also do have your post-motor filter right here. Right here is actually a HEPA media filter that I actually stuck in from one that I bought from Walmart when I bought replacement filters for it, as well as a belt as well. This definitely does filter out a bit better than that interesting filter that's used also as a pre-motor filter. But the only thing I do not like about these filters is that god-awful Febreze stench. That you will smell that for days. Which, yes, it does work, but it is kind of nauseating at times that you have to put up with that Febreze scent for so long. So now let's go ahead and flip this thing underneath to show you the underside. So here is the brush roll that's in it. It is the original brush roll, and it is a chevron pattern which funnels everything into that center suction path. But the one thing I do not like about these Bissell brush rolls is how short the bristles are. They are nice and stiff at least, but I do not like how short these bristles are. And I do not know whether or not it's because the bristles are worn out. I've looked at some replacements, but other collectors have told me the bristles are just this short. There's just nothing you can do about that, which I really do not like. And which is why I attribute these don't perform as good as they could, because the bristles are just too short. Which is why I always like to leave the carpet height adjustment for this at a little bit lower settings than I normally would have my vacuums at, just so it has an attempt to dig down deep into the carpet. So anyway, this did obviously need a new belt when I got it, as every other vacuum I buy does, because nobody knows how to change the belt. But yeah, that's that. And so we will go ahead and show you the model number on the back. This is Bissell Cleaner model 3522-1, 120 volts, 60 hertz, 12 amps. And the serial for this, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe the serial for this, the first 2 digits, I do think decode the year. So this was made in 2004, if I'm reading that right, which honestly, I definitely would buy that this is 2004. Definitely, the design definitely reflects that. Made in Bissell of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Made in Korea. That's good. It's not China, so that's a good sign. So on the back here, you do have your tools, your extension wand and crevice tool. And as per usual, the crevice tool is mounted inside here. And you also do have your oddball combo tool, which this one is missing. I really do not like those tools. They are just very dumb in their design, and I just wish you had an ordinary way to like have it be more practical in its design. They just lazily thrown that together and pretty much put brushes on one side and no brushes on the other, and you could switch between the two. But I do not like it for how stiff the bristles are. That's not even, shouldn't be considered a dusting brush, if I'm all honest. It's way too stiff for delicate surfaces. And the upholstery tool section isn't really shaped too well to be used as an upholstery tool, which I'm honestly not a fan of that tool. I may replace it just for the sake of it, but I'm just not a big fan of those tools. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and release the cord. This definitely does not have the longest cord in the world, but I've honestly used vacuums that have much shorter cords, so this, to me, honestly, isn't bad. So let's go ahead and plug this guy in. And now we will go ahead and turn this thing on, and we will give you a demo of it running. So, typical Bissell fashion, your power switch is down on the side of the cleaner. This is before the years when Bissell would reverse orient the switch where up is on and down is off. This one is just like every other Bissell where down is on and up is off. But anyway, here we go. vacuum, but the performance to me is just not very wowing. But it gets the job done. Definitely a good vacuum back in its day for someone who's looking for a good bang for your buck. The second generation ones are not as bad, but do not hold up very well compared to these. Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this video on the Bissell Powerforce Bagged. Be sure and stay tuned, and don't forget to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.